heart attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and packs. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're just freaked out. Get ready for defeat now.
So anyways, John Wick knows sign language. Yeah, that's probably the most random thing I can say after an intro. Like the most random amount of words I can string together. But yeah, I looked into it a little bit, and John Wick, he apparently knows American Sign Language. That is the thing all of you now know. Anyways, now, I was gonna post a part to this today, and, well, I kinda got a bit caught up. I was playing the Walking Dead game, and spoilers alert for anyone who has not played that. It's fucking sad. I just had to shoot Lee as Clementine. I'll probably put that game into a poll. Anyways, now. Sorry for ranting. I literally just got through that campaign and turned off my video game. Now let's begin. Whenever we last left off, Midoriya, he was moved. With Miss Carter, she took him out to a place in the middle of the woods. The place might as well be another continental. And it's quite interesting. Midoriya, yeah. He was basically taught a lot of things. Now, on the first day, Midoriya, he emptied his pockets, and he only had a coin. The woman in charge immediately recognized Midoriya. Usually whenever most children only have that coin, it's the way to mark them. Show that they're going to need a bit of extra training or discipline. And, well, the reason for that is because quirkless. That means a lot. It means that they're more unique than others. You can more finely groom them. They have had dangerous quirkless assassins, but it is a very rare occasion. And, well, all the kids began to, well, learn to dance. They were fitted with shoes and partnered off. Now, Midoriya ended up beating a kid, kicking him in the nose and breaking it. And, well, the next day after that was not easy. Midoriya woke up to alarms and found that things weren't, well, surprising. They went to bed very, very late at night and woke up roughly about 5 hours later. The kids being put through a strict training regiment. They learned multiple different disciplines and began to be taught how to use weapons, firearms, and even different languages. All things that they will need. Along with going through tests. They are more like games, but the way the kids are being taught and, well, basically pressured, everything is more like a test. As it has been roughly 3 months. All these kids have been on the strict training regiment. And it has begun to show a bit of results. A lot of the kids are skilled and somewhat mastered in at least one form of weaponry, and/or one form of discipline. They basically spent 19 hours awake and 5 asleep, resting their bodies and their minds. Then they wake up, have a strict breakfast, lunch, dinner, and train their asses off. A lot of the kids usually being paired up to fight. And then there is Midoriya. Anytime any of these children do get a little bit of free time, as they call it, the time where kids should be learning and or using it to basically walk around the facility and try to get more familiar with it, Some kids use it to try and talk. And if they are caught, then it's a bit more. Training is going to run a bit later that day for everyone. Now, a few kids have been asking around and trying to learn each other's quirks. Whenever it got to Midoriya, he simply was angry and walked away from the conversation. He didn't answer, which led to a bit of kids trying to figure it out. And during a few of their combat matches, anyone Midoriya was paired up against, they would try and fight with him. And Midoriya's rage and aggression would usually give him a bit of the upper hand. At least whenever the kid isn't using their quirk. If they have some odd form of quirk, they can still try and use it. Even if you had an extra joint in your hand, you can simply dig that joint into someone's eyeball and have an easier time of, popping it out if you wanted it to. Or regeneration quirks. Midoriya can be sick while the kid is in perfect health. It doesn't matter. You try like this every day, until your body is physically exhausted and you drop. Now, Midoriya has gone through this, and he is roughly at the age of 6 years old. And today, the kids are going through another class. Well, let's go over Midoriya's 10 o'clock to 12. You do have a room with multiple teachers inside. And Midoriya, he has his arms bound together by his wrist. And someone is smacking the top of his arms and forearms. And Midoriya is wincing in pain. The people simply just doing this over and over and over again, as to show Midoriya not to simply flinch, and to try and train his pain tolerance. Trying to do this over and over and over again. Midoriya, after this class, going to ballet, and then learning a bit more. After that, you usually do have combat training, which usually runs for 3 to 4 hours. Then, you do at least have a short little break. The time the kids get to shower, clean up, and properly get dressed. Following a strict dress code, and then heading off to marksman training and firearms training, for usually about the rest of their day. Waking up, and going through a similar training regimen. As you do have today, the age of 6 years old. Every little piece of information and things they've been trying to teach these kids has been drilled into their minds. In fact, it's become instinct. Sometimes the kids, if they're simply just asleep and wake up in the middle of the night, they go to get ready for the day. One kid was once found standing in the middle of a line, roughly about an hour before he was supposed to. And there was once a kid who went up to go use the bathroom. Out of instinct, he immediately went to the line. And he didn't even realize he got dressed. Even Midoriya has done this once. And today, training is going up a bit more, pushing themselves further and beyond their physical capabilities. Some kids breaking, and simply trying to catch up, slowing down more and more. Even Midoriya was once at this point. He simply had to get back on his feet, and try harder. He has to try his hardest. He is the only kid here without a quirk, and that just pisses him off more. Even whenever he tries, he's always either second best, or he's not even in the top 3. Trying harder and harder and harder. It getting to the point where Midoriya during his free time, or the little he has, he begins to brush up on certain things. Usually brushing up on his linguistic skills. Him trying to learn Russian, Italian, and ALS. He learns ALS first because it was very interesting. And, it's a bit tricky at first. But once you get used to it, you begin to understand it a bit more. In fact, you do have what's going on today. They're going on a bit of a field mission, you could call it. They get geared up and given paintball guns, along with comm systems and headsets, being told that this is going to be quite simple. As the woman goes on stating, up in the forest they will have two teams, Team 1 and Team 2. It's quite simple. If either of you get shot in this general body area, you are going to be given a shot. A tase, if you will. If you fall to your knees with that tase, then you are out, since that tase will be roughly about accurate to the points of pain. And be aware, if you do fall onto the ground, no matter what, you are considered dead, a body that has dropped. The woman's then just announcing the teams. Team 1, well, there's Midoriya and a few other children. And there is Team 2. Now, Midoriya gets paired up with a few of the kids that don't really like him. In fact, they think they know that he's quirkless. And some of them do begin to talk. Now, they try to go a bit renegade, you could say, simply taking out their comm pieces and dropping them onto the ground. If they're going to get someone out, they're going to take out Midoriya first. And it's going to be quite simple. While everyone else is dealing with the enemy team, they're going to try and deal with Midoriya. And Midoriya, yeah, he is not stupid. As soon as they begin and, well, 3 people stopped responding, he had to try and figure it out. As soon as he heard one kid's name, he knew something was already wrong. And he tried to talk with his team, try and get more information. A few of them simply just saying they saw the kid head off in the same direction as Midoriya. Midoriya? So you're just asking exactly why would he do that? And whenever he gets no response, he simply begins by doing one thing. He immediately grabs onto his gun, holds it a bit tighter, and begins to run. Running roughly about 10 feet to the east, and heading a bit north. Wait. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Now, Midoriya, he then begins by trying to climb up a tree, and try to get him into position. As these kids do arrive, they're simply just talking about how they need to find him, and take him out. If they can lower his score, then that means he won't even try to make it up to their status. He won't even be in the top 10. When he falls below the top 10, then he is going to be put into those weird classes. Now, Midoriya, yeah, he doesn't have any of that. And he quickly fires off a paintball, hitting one of these kids directly in the chest, as the kid feels the electric shock being applied into his vest, and he begins by almost falling onto the ground. The other kid, grabbing him by his arm as Midoriya fires off more shots. And these 3 begin to try and hide behind, well, trees, anything they can really use for cover. And Midoriya just looks around, before trying to climb up the tree higher, and trying to run across one of the tree limbs, before being able to grab onto another tree limb, and basically make his way across that, getting up high into the air, and doing one simple thing. He starts to ignore his comms, hearing about how the enemy team is beginning to win, since about half of his team is fighting each other. Now, Midoriya, he does go on to fight these 3, them having an old-fashioned shootout. Them trying to hit Midoriya as someone does actually hit Midoriya in his leg, and he feels an electric shock be applied there. somewhat wincing in pain as he grits his teeth. Before he begins firing off more and more, until he does have to take off this cartridge, and put on another one. Beginning by slowly acting as if he's moving in a different direction, tossing the cartridge away as the other kids go running for it. And Midoriya does make his way down. Then being able to sneak up on them, firing 3 shots into their back as they all fall down onto their knees. Before they can go to fall over though, one of them does spin around and hit Midoriya directly into the chest. The other kids following suit and trying to fire off at Midoriya, who simply just begins by running at them and firing off his own paintballs. As soon as they do that, Midoriya simply does one thing. As he's being electrocuted and shocked, he just runs directly at these 3 and just tackles all of them, smashing them into the tree behind them. And Midoriya simply begins by taking off his vest and stuffing it into one kid's face. He ripped it, basically by the straps at the top, in half, and stuffed it onto this kid's head, as he's being shocked too. However, it's only the back of his hands. And the kid receives about a lot of volts. The other kids watching as Midoriya simply just does that. The kid trying to push Midoriya off of him. Midoriya unloading paintballs into his jacket, and the kid being shocked. As that happens, the other kids do get up and try and fight off Midoriya, who pulls the vest backwards before smashing it across another kid's face, turning and elbowing one of them directly into the nose, before simply just dropping the vest to the ground and punching the other directly in the nose. As he simply just begins by punching the kid over and over and over again. And well, he hurts these 3 pretty good. And whenever he is found after the match, they simply just find Midoriya, without his vest, his knuckles bruised and bloody, and, he simply does not look remorseful. He looks full of rage, that look in his eyes, as he heard his team lost. But, there is a problem. They saw the entire thing happen. In fact, friendly fire is not usually a thing they would have to deal with. But these 3 kids, they went out of their way to try and basically kill a teammate. If this was a real combat scenario, these 3 would be dead. Midoriya, though, he did a number on them. 2 of these kids were brutally beaten. One of them has burns all across his face, or one side of his face. The other has a broken nose, a broken jaw, and about 5 missing teeth. Meanwhile, the third one... Yikes. The amount of volts put into Midoriya's body, and or torso, should have been enough to make him drop to his knees. However, the woman in charge is surprised to hear that not only did Midoriya basically rush through that, but he directly took this damage, and he was ready with his vest. He took it off and forced it into a kid's face, which then led to him firing off multiple shots, meaning that the kid was shocked with twice the voltage he should have been. And that led to his heart stopping. Now, the mother, or not the mother, the woman in charge is quite surprised to hear that. Midoriya just killed somebody. Another kid trained in multiple disciplines. Another kid who can do exactly what Midoriya can do. These kids were not supposed to take that test until a little bit further down the road. And there is no rule about not being able to kill during training. Midoriya, he was put into extra courses, you could say. Extra training. Since he did, basically, go against their rules. However, he acted in self-defense. And these kids wanted to play a prank. This was seen as very childish, something these kids cannot act like, since it led to one of them being killed. All three of them, if this was a real scenario once again, would have died. And Midoriya is informed. The kid that he hurt, well, he's dead. And instead of Midoriya seeming surprised or at least remorseful, he doesn't care. Simply just saying that the kid went against their mission. And if he was simply not trying to prank him or hold a grudge, simply because of something I don't have, then he wouldn't have died in the first place. Midoriya acting aggressive and angry. As the woman in charge simply just asked Midoriya, exactly why was he able to take that many volts? It should have stopped him in his tracks. Or it should have just, well, hurt you a lot. Did you not feel the pain? Midoriya is just doing one thing, as he does actually pull up his shirt. The woman seeing these bruises on Midoriya's body. You can clearly tell where he was shocked. The areas do look a bit swollen and inflamed. Midoriya just saying that the kids made him angry. And they simply would not stop. They always make fun of him just because he doesn't have a quirk. And they always try and gang up on him whenever they have to battle. Against anyone. The kid uses his quirk when he's not supposed to, and he cheats all the time. Midoriya basically screaming at this woman that the boy deserved it. And the lady does inform Miss Carter. Miss Carter picking up the phone, while she is in the middle of looking down a scope. Simply just asking exactly what is it? Is there anything wrong with the boy? The woman on the other line informing Miss Carter. As whenever she heard this news, she gasped and fired her shots. The bullets whisking through the air and hitting her targets. She was aiming for the middle of their head. Instead, she hit a bit off to the right and hit the man closer to the side of his head. She almost missed her target, and the woman just asked if she is busy. Miss Carter just informing her no. In fact, she just got done. Her, well, calendar is clear. Exactly how did he do it, though? I am curious. The woman then informing her on the situation. And Midoriya, he wears this like a badge of honor. A lot of other kids hearing about what he did. During that pretend battle, someone actually died. And it was because they tried to mess with the quirkless kid. A lot of people beginning to take Midoriya a lot more seriously. And not really bully him or mess with him. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.